Today we are going to Kenya to learn about Kenya's culture and wildlife and explore this fabulous country. Kenya is a republic country and is made up of three branches: legislative, executive, and judiciary. The executive overrides legislative and sometimes acts as if it is better than the law. The president's name is Uhuru Kenyatta. Buses and trains are in Kenya mostly for transporting people or goods a long distance. Otherwise, for local travel, there are four-ways. First is a matatu, which is a small van that can fit up to 18 people. They are kind of like big taxis and pay only 25 cents in U.S. money for a ride. Second is a tuk-tuk, which are three-wheeled vehicles. Third is piki-piki, a motorcycle that drives very dangerous. Last is boda-boda, a bicycle taxi that are found all across East. Kenyan art shows its culture in different communities through pottery, beaded necklaces, masks, wood carvings, baskets, and figurines. Large markets, especially in Nairobi, sell these. You can find Kenyan art also in the Nairobi National Museum.
There are over 70 different ethnic groups in Kenya. The largest group, the Kikuyu, makes up only 20% of the population. The largest five are the Kikuyu, Luo, Luhya, Kamba, and Kalenjin, and account for about 70% of the population. So most of the people we see there will probably belong to one of those. However, the Kikuyu are disproportionately represented in government, and this has caused conflict between ethnicities.
Nairobi is Kenya's capital and the largest city in Kenya. It has a population of 3 million people. Nairobi's crowded streets and busy nightlife is very different than Mombasa, a coastal town in Kenya with white sandy beaches and a quiet atmosphere. Nakuru is a growing town very similar to Nairobi. Both Nakuru and Nairobi are right outside huge national parks and exotic wildlife. Kenya's population has been growing rapidly, and there are 47 counties in Kenya.
The official languages of Kenya are English and Swahili, but many more African languages are spoken there. English is considered the language of business, higher education, and government, and Swahili is spoken in everyday life, so we should pick some up before we go. Printed materials, television content, and radio broadcasts are available in English, so we'll be able to understand those. Family is also very important, including extended family. Both sides of the family, as well as close friends, come together in big groups. Hundreds of people can be at one family gathering and all be regarded as close and important family members. Oftentimes, people won't leave home when they get married. They'll just join the family and live together as one big family unit. Ancestors are also very important in Kenya, and it's important to remember and respect your deceased ancestors. It's not necessarily worship, but a belief that when someone dies, their spirit lives on and must be acknowledged.
Kenya's supply of fresh water has a very low percentage in cubic meters. This makes Kenya one of the most water-scarce countries in the world. There is a shortage of natural resources and has been declining for the past few years, even though the Ewaso Nigro is a large water supplier. The vegetation zones in Africa are as diverse as their climate. The Afro-Alpine are more common on Mount Kenya and Mount Elgon. Grassland and shrubland is common on high elevation. Highland grassland occurs on the sides of the Great Rift Valley. Other vegetation zones are at ground level. This includes just grasslands, delta grassland, and seasonal floodplains. There are many different types of climates in Kenya, depending on your location and your elevation. On the coast, the climate is very tropical, but once you start going inland, it turns very arid. There can be a 22-degree change in temperature from day to night.
About Kenya, let's head to the airport. Located outside Nairobi, there is a mansion near the Giraffe Center. The center was founded by the African Fund for Endangered Wildlife in 1979, aiming to breed endangered Rothschild giraffes. There are endangered subspecies of giraffes with only around 1,600 living in the wild. This subspecies is similar to the more common Maasai giraffe, but has lighter orange-brown patches. Rothschild giraffes are said to be extinct in South Sudan and the DRC. The founders of the Giraffe Center needed a place to live. They decided to live in a brick mansion in the middle of the breeding grounds, and have since then turned it into a tender hotel called the Giraffe Manor. Every morning when guests sit down to eat breakfast, the giraffes peek their head inside the window to eat with the guests. After they are done with their meal, they return to the Giraffe Center. The hotel, the Giraffe Manor, is where we will be staying. Next, we are headed off to the Nairobi National Museum to grasp hold of the nature, culture, history, and art of Kenya. The museum was founded in 1930 by Louis Leakey and nicknamed the Home of Heritage, and is recommended as one of the first places to go on a visit to Kenya. Some of the main permanent exhibits are located in the Hall of Kenya. The Cradle of Mankind exhibits on evolution of human beings in early Africa. The Great Hall of Mammals contains dozens of stuffed animals. An elephant that turned into the symbol of Kenya is displayed here. His name was Ahmed, and he was protected against the poaching crisis of the 80s. The Cycles of Life exhibit is a room filled with old artifacts from various Kenyan ethnic groups and tribes. The Birds of East Africa contains over 900 stuffed birds. And finally, the Humanoid Skull Room is a collection of skulls and early human bones and artifacts. The museum also has a botanical garden, snake park, nature trail, and art gallery. You can't go to Kenya without going on a safari. The Masai Mara National Reserve is one of the most famous tourist destinations in Africa. There are abundant elephants, lions, buffalo, rhino, and leopards. There are around 95 species of animals and 400 bird species. Most tourists come during the annual wildebeest migration. From July to October, more than 1.5 million wild animals migrate from Tanzania to the reserve in southwestern Kenya in search of more abundant green space.
That's so incredible.
Another park is the Amboseli National Park. It is located in the Loyaltok District, Rift Valley Province of Kenya. The park consists of 151 square miles of abundant free-ranging elephants and other wildlife. You can experience 5 different habitats: savanna, woodlands, sulfur springs, wetlands, and a dried-up lakebed of Lake Amboseli. Mount Kilimanjaro overlooks the park and creates its springs. The water from Kilimanjaro's ice caps is melted and filtered through the volcanic rock. This is the best place to view elephants up close. Last but not least, we are headed to the mysterious Jetty Ruins, a historical and archaeological site located in a forest in the Kifuli district. The Jetty Ruins are on the coast of Kenya, surrounded by a green forest. The ruins consist of coral brick houses. There are 2 walls. The rich live in the inner walls and the poor live on the outside. It was an advanced civilization with running water and flushing toilets. Artifacts from around the world have been found in the ruins, including Ming vases, Venetian glass, and other artifacts. The ruins are an exceptional quality. Excavation began in 1948, but the ruins are still mysterious to researchers, archaeologists, and scientists.
Next, we decided to explore some of Kenya's beautiful physical features.
Lake Magadi is another great Rift Valley lake. During the dry season, 80% of this lake is covered in soda. This attracts many people. Also, many birds wade in this area, The Tana River is the longest river in Kenya. Its annual flow is above 5,000 million centimeters. The 500-mile-long river ends in the Indian Ocean, and it starts in Kenya. The land around the river is very lush because the river irrigates the surrounding land. The river also is used for a series of hydroelectric dams, which helps Kenya with its energy sources.
Food. It looks really good. Hi, welcome to Taste of Kenya. I'm going to be your server today. So, do you have any idea what you might want to start with?
What's the chapati?
Chapati is a flatbread that's originally from India, but people eat it in East Africa.
How about kucha? What's that?
Kachumbari.
Oh.
It's a fresh salad made of tomato, onion, and green pepper. So it's like a lighter option.
I definitely need a lighter option.
Yes.
How about the mandazi?
Mandazi, it's like a bun or a donut. It's just fried bread.
What about the githen?
That's maize and beans mixed together.
Ooh. And pilaf?
That's just rice that's cooked in a seasoned broth.
What about your beverage here?
That's basically just coconut water.
Oh.
Okay, so what do you guys want?
I'll have, well, we're pretty hungry. Yeah, so we'll get all of
Oh, okay.
Here's your food, enjoy. But where's the silverware? People
We'll have sound on this.
While we were in Kenya, we witnessed lots of people living difficult lives. A lot of people in Kenya live in the city, but there's a really big gap between the rich and the poor there. For example, 2/3 of people in Nairobi, Kenya's capital, live in slums. The average middle-class house in the nice neighborhoods has a kitchen with plumbing, bedrooms, a bathroom, but in the slums, it's usually a 1 or 2 room house with no plumbing. A lot of people in Kenya also live in rural areas, in fact 2/3 of them do, and here they get by on subsistence farming and occasional trips to the market, and for a long time they lived really cut off from the outside world and really hard, separated lives. But now things are changing a lot. They have cell phones now, cinemas travel around, and people in rural areas can see movies just like people in the cities. And the slums are really improving too. They're being cleaned up, and plumbing is being put in, and that's something we got to see while we were in Kenya, and that was really amazing.
Sadly, my time in Kenya has to end. But overall, it was an amazing trip. I loved meeting new people, eating new food, and seeing amazing places.